Dr. Smith, I first want to ask you, you've had a few days to think on this. What are your thoughts looking back on what's happened here?
Well, I've been honored to be the superintendent of this fantastic school district, and never knew how long I was going to be given that opportunity. I appreciate the time that I did have, because I learned so much about the people in this district and the families and the community, and it's a special place. Pensacola, Escambia County, very special place. There's a lot of people who care about education, who care about kids, and that's a good environment to work in. And so I just appreciate that opportunity to work with and to lead this really special and fantastic school district. So with that, things sometimes happen. Sometimes we have explanation for them, and sometimes we don't. But for me, I think my biggest hope out of all of this is the district can move through this and reach the potential that we have. And what that really means is kids learning more than ever before, and trying to reach and connect kids to our school district in great ways where they graduate and they're ready to go with great opportunities. So that's my hope for the district, and I think that's very possible. I think key pieces need to be put in place, and good decisions need to be made, but that's my hope.
What do you feel ultimately led to this decision?
Well, I think there were some residents who I think probably didn't necessarily agree or like the direction that I was leading. I think there's a very interesting mindset that exists in our community. I think there are two very different mindsets. One where, and ironically, they're very closely reflected to the elected and appointed superintendent concept. I think there's a large group of people who are very happy with where the school district is, and want to see it continue in its current state. I think there's another large group in the district that is more wanting to see the district be pushing forward and being really on the cutting edge, which requires a lot of change and new initiatives. And so I think sometimes that makes people feel uncomfortable, but I think that dichotomy of thought is something that just exists, and I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just saying I think that's a part of the culture in our county. And so I had some initiatives, and I think that perhaps made some people uneasy.
So now, shoot me straight here. Do you feel you were given a fair shake with every member of the board throughout your time here?
Well, I feel like when you look back to this fall, and the topic really first came up, I think up until that point, I really felt we were working well, and at that point, certainly that was kind of the red flag that was waved, and I think from that point it's been challenging.
What would you tell the next candidate that wants to apply for this job and possibly get this job?
Well, I think the first thing I'd say is you've got a very special school district here, a very good school district with a lot of heart and a lot of soul. You've got teachers who are tireless workers. You've got and not just teachers, support employees, principals, assistant principals, district departments, an executive team. It's incredible how many hours are put in and how hard our district employees work, and they're just amazing people. And so I would say to the school, the new superintendent, cherish that and make sure you do the very best to support them and encourage them and provide resource to them, which can be easier said than done. You know, when you talk about things like providing resource, you know, we don't have unlimited resources. But I'd also say make sure to hear what people are looking for, and try to bring the board with them and to unify the leadership, this top level leadership of the district. And I think if that can be done, I think the district can stabilize out again and start moving forward for kids.
Now, going back to Tuesday night's meeting, board members brought up some possible violations. Do you feel that any board members violated sunshine laws through this process?
I really don't know about that. I don't know behind the scenes what did or did not happen. To my knowledge, fact, I don't know of any. But again, I don't know what has or hasn't happened. So, but to my current knowledge, that I am aware of, I don't know of any violation.
What's next for you?
Well, you know, my wife and I felt called to be here, and it's been a special time for us, and I'm grateful for the experience, and we'll listen to what our next call is, what the good Lord calls us to do, and that's a whole new adventure waiting. I'm not sure what the answer to that is. We'll see what kind of opportunities are out there. We have lived many years in Central Florida, and I think with family in that area, we'll sometime in the future eventually land back in that area. But between now and then, and how fast that happens, I'm not sure. We're going to embrace where the calling is and the adventure that awaits us. But the one thing is, I think having that for us, for my wife and I, knowing that we were called here and that there's the pathway is now changing. We know we're in good hands, and we're not sure the specifics, but we know there's an exciting new adventure for us.
Well, just a few more questions. I wanted to ask you about, I think there's a lot of confusion in the community about where the responsibility lies with the superintendent versus the board versus everyone else. Explain that to me, if you will, that not everything falls on the superintendent, not everything falls on the board. Do you feel there's confusion with the public as to the decisions that you've made and the authority that you have?
I would say that's a great question, because it's one of the harder aspects of a board and a superintendent, because there can be some overlap. Now, generally, and another thing I'll say about that is, I think it's even more challenging moving from an elected superintendent to an appointed superintendent. That is one of the most challenging pieces are the intricacies of those dynamics and how that works. So I myself, of course, I've always worked in districts that had appointed superintendent, except for my first year teaching. I worked in a district that had an elected superintendent. But my experiences with appointed superintendent, our board, of course, was with an elected superintendent. So finding those nuances and those very specific intricacies, I think, is a growth experience that I think that we've been in the middle of. Generally, the board sets policy. The superintendent operates, runs, oversees the school district, so the day-to-day operations. And so what can get sometimes in some gray areas is if you have a new policy about the day-to-day operations, right? So you just can, and that's just one example. There can be situations where it's not as clear as other situations.
Sure.
So
Sure.
it's a great question, and it's one that school districts are
Everywhere
around. Yes, have to navigate.
My last question to you: do you feel that your firing was the best decision for this district moving forward?
Well, I'd like to think that it didn't need to come to that. Perhaps time will tell. We don't know what the future holds for. We have an interim assignment, but we don't know what's going to happen after that. I like to think we had good plans in place, and I was really looking forward to next year with some new initiatives and some really forward movement on some academic ideas and some school setting ideas. So my answer to that is I really would have liked to continue in the role, and I think some good things could have happened. But in time, sometimes change happens, and it's change at the right time, and it may need to happen, and I don't see that. I really wish that the board selects a new superintendent who's just the perfect fit and the right person at the right time that can take where we're at to the next level. And it's very interesting. I had an experience similar to that where at my first principalship, I was at a middle school, an inner city middle school, and I had an opportunity to go open up a new middle school, and I wrestled with that because I felt like I still had work to do at that middle school. And then I kind of reached a point and I thought, well, am I going to do anything significantly different? Or maybe my leadership time has come to its culmination, and it's time for somebody else with a different skill set, different focus, to come in and take this school to the next level. And I have to tell you how that ended up is I had an incredible opportunity, and I went ahead and opened up the new school and became principal at a different location. And that was an incredible experience for me. I had an opportunity to start a school from ground zero. And the principal who followed me was the right principal at the right time. And he took the school much, much further than I did. And it is exactly what you hope for, that your work leads to some good framing, some good structure, and somebody else can come and just take it to new heights. And so my hope is what happened there with that school is exactly what happens here with this incredible school district, with this community that is so bought into helping kids. I mean, we have businesses, we have agencies, we have service clubs, our governmental agencies, our law enforcement agencies. It's just one group after another who is there to support our school, and I'm grateful for that, and I think it creates an opportunity for things that we perhaps never have dreamt of or just never thought of happening, and just great new excitement for our students in this district. So that is my hope, and I wish the board well, and I wish whoever the new superintendent officially will be, I wish that individual as well. also.
Dr. Smith, thank you for your time, and we won't be hounding you anymore unless you want to call us. You got my number, so.
Well, thank you, Tim.
Yes,
I
sir.
appreciate it.
Thank you. Best of luck to you.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
All right.